Good evening, everyone. So, here we are live again for another session of Python. So, yesterday we did how can we have nested if else, and I told you like how can we use random functions. So, we'll be going ahead today. After that, hi Deepak,
Hi, Anjali.
how are you?
I'm doing fine.
Okay, so are you clear with whatever we have done till yesterday?
Yeah, so we have done three types of if statement,
Yeah.
and I have understood all of three, and what is the distinction or differences between all of the three, and how it can be used to minimize the line of coding
Mm-hmm.
or the processing for the computer.
And
Uh,
what about random function?
Random, yes. So we have also learned about the random. To select any discrete number from a set of variables, and you can also choose a random integer. So
That's
what is the command for that? Yeah.
that's nice.
Then we
Oh,
also made this game that of lucky seven.
yeah, we
That
made it
if you
yesterday.
roll two dice, what are the chances, and what will you print if you get seven, or if you would not get seven?
Right. So the ones who were not present yesterday, we made this game at the end with the random numbers. It is called Lucky Seven, where we want that the user will throw the dice, and if the sum of the two dice comes as seven, so the person is lucky to win. Otherwise, we'll say that sorry, you don't win. And one thing you missed in this yesterday was that we had to ask like press enter to roll the dice. So if you want to have that thing, you can write here like input press enter to roll the dice. Although whatever the user is going to input, I'm not going to store anywhere, but still you can just write an input statement. So sometimes we might use variables which we don't need afterwards. So I just write press enter to roll the dice. So when the user will press enter now, we'll get press enter to roll the dice. As I press enter, it says wow, you won lucky 7. If I want that it should show me also what are the dices, so we can show like dice 1, we can show the value of dice 1. Similar way we can show the value of dice 2. Now if we execute this and it says press enter to roll the dice, I press
Temp.
enter.
It's temp.
Temp I just took because we are inputting something, so that has to be taken somewhere.
Okay.
So we expect a variable on the left hand side of input.
Okay.
So we are not using it anywhere afterwards, but just for the syntax sake, because we need a variable on the left of input so that whatever user gives should be taken in temp. So I just took any variable, and since it's a temporary variable, I gave it a name as temp. So now it says enter to roll the dice. You press enter, then it shows you the dice faces and the result. So if I run again, I have to press enter. So this is 1-1. So you can keep running and keep trying your luck. So that was a very simple game to try the dice, right? Okay, now today what we are going to do is I'll tell you about one different way of variables, or you can also call them data structures in Python.
Okay.
So we call it list. So that is list. So list basically means that we want to store values under multiple values under a single variable name. So if you want to store multiple values under a single variable name, then we can do it with the help of list. So first I'll show you how to take list, and then we'll be making something interesting today to use your if and the list concept. Okay, so I just make a new file here. I should click in this and I go to new Python file, and let's say I give it a name lists, and we press enter. Okay, now how do you make a list? For example, I want to take list of names. So I write names is equal to, and then I write down certain names over here. Right? So we write down certain names. Now how have I given the names in the square brackets? So you put a square bracket, give all the names separated by commas and close the square bracket at the end. That's the syntax. Now all these names are stored in the same variable name named names. Earlier we were storing one name in the name. Now since all of these are stored in the same variable name, how are you going to fetch the different values? I want to fetch the first name, I want to fetch the third name. How am I going to do that? So for that we use positions in the list. So the first element is said to be at position 0. Next element is at position 1, then position 2, position 3. So position always starts from 0. If I'm going to print names, so it will print all the names. But if I'm going to tell the position, so it will print the name only from the given position. Like here right now it's printing all of them. But if I make a change, I write names 1. Okay, so I just write print names 1. If I do that, it will print only the name at position 1, that is the second name. Okay, similar way I can fetch 2, 3 or whatever. So that is the list. Now how does it help you to perform a task? For example, I had to take a number from the user. Let's say right now I give you a program that you have to accept a number from the user and you have to print the corresponding day name for that. Like if the user presses 1, you're supposed to print Monday. If user presses 2, you're supposed to print Tuesday. How would you do it?
We'll make a list of all the days of the week, and by using their positions, we can print the names from the list, the name of the week.
Very good, very good. Yeah, so here normally what since you have experience in building business logic, so you got the logic correct in the very first chance, but usually the beginners do it with the help of if else. So if I would have asked like a student from school or college, then they might have thought that they'll do like this, that if day is equal to 1, so they should print Monday. If day is equal to 2, they should print Tuesday. So that is one obvious way of printing the names. But we don't want to print that way because that would be too lengthy. So the ones who are watching, for them, I'm just going to explain you that thing. Like usually if I would have asked you that you have to enter a day number like this, enter a day number, and you're supposed to print the corresponding day name for this. Like if day is 1, you're supposed to print Monday. If it's 2, you have to print Tuesday, and so on. So one way is you check conditions like this. If day is 1, then you print Monday, and so on. You have to check for all 7. But Deepak gave an excellent answer to this, that we don't need these things because we have lists. Now since I have lists, what I can do is I can take the list over here called weekdays or just days, whatever, because we are going to take Saturday, Sunday also, so can't take it as weekdays, but let's say days. And I write here Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and so on. You have to take all of them. Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and finally I'm writing Sunday. Okay, so this is my list with all 7 days. Then I asked from the user to enter a day number, right? And you need to print the corresponding day. So it would be that simple that you just print here days, day. But should I write day or I should write day minus 1? Should I write day or I should write day minus 1?
Yeah, because they would understand it that if day is equal to 1,
So it should be treated as 0. So if user enters 1, we have to take it as 0. If user enters 2, we have to take it as 1. That's why we should write day minus 1. Now if I enter 6, it prints Saturday. If I enter 1, it prints Monday. If you enter 4, it prints Thursday. So it's working perfectly fine.
If we enter 10, it will show some
Exactly, yeah, it will show some error. So try running it and enter 10.
List index out of range.
Index out of range, because your index is allowed only from 0 to 6, right? Since our size of the list is 7, so this is out of the range. So how can we make sure that we don't get this error? And one more thing, the error which you got here is a runtime error. When we do programming, we have 3 type of errors in a code. One is your syntax error. Syntax error is like you're not writing the statement properly. For example, if I miss this bracket, so it shows the red line here, that means it is a syntax error. I'm not following the grammar properly. Then second type of error is a logical error, that the logic which you're writing, the formula you're writing is wrong, and that's why the program is not behaving the way it should behave. It will execute, will show some result, but that result is not what we are looking for. So that's a logical error. And this error, which makes your program to terminate in between, because here a big error message comes and the program terminates in between. This type of error is called runtime error, which occurs because a program performs some action which is not allowed to be performed. Okay, so this was a runtime error, but I want this should not come. So I can make sure that if days is greater than equal to 1 and days less than equal to 7. So if the values of days is greater than equal to 1 and less than 7, then we should print the day. Else I can write invalid day number. Is it clear? So now if you run it, if you enter, I missed that bracket. Okay, so if we run it and I enter 5, I get what? Sorry, it had to be day, not days. The integer variable is day. So I enter 5 and it says Friday. If I run it again and I enter 12, it says invalid data. Okay, is the basic concept of list here. Now we can have nesting of list as well. So nesting of list I will not tell you now because that would be a bit confusing. So we'll just be using list, and let's make some game using the conditions and list. Are you ready?
Yeah.
Have you ever played that game called tic-tac-toe?
Yes, we used
Which
to in
is
school time. We used
crosses and zeros?
We used to, make small hash sign at the back of our notebook, and 2 players used to play that. So we had to make a line of these 2 signs, either a zero or a
Exactly.
cross, 3 in a row, either vertical,
So if
horizontal,
you
or
get-
diagonal. We are able to make that.
Yeah,
be
right.
with.
So it's basically a game of crosses and zeros. Both the opponents have to place a cross or a zero at different position. And if you get 3 in a row, horizontally, vertically, or diagonally, you win. Okay, so are you ready to try that?
Yeah, it would be very exciting.
Okay, let's start with that then. Let's make a new file. And this program, I'm making this tic-tac-toe with the very basic knowledge of Python, right? Because till now, you only know how to give conditions, and you just know that how can we use list, just one dimensional list, not even 2-dimensional. Okay, so we are going to create this with the very basic knowledge of programming, although this code can be improved later on by putting better logic constructs, but this would be lengthy. The code is going to be lengthy because we are using the very basic construct, but you would be able to make that. Okay, So first thing is, let's display the board of the tic-tac-toe
Yes.
game. Tic-tac-toe game, okay? So the board basically has to have 9 values. So I initially take 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. So I need 9 positions, right? And then I have to show the board. Okay, we haven't done user defined functions yet. The people who are watching, I am just repeating again, this code is done only with the use of if statements, that is the basic if else construct, and the basic introduction to list. We are not using functions, we are not using loops, we are keeping it as simple as possible with the very basic programming constructs. Okay, so we have this board. I want to display it in the form of that tic-tac-toe board. So for that, obviously we need to use some print statements. So what I'm going to have is, I'll write like print, and I want to have something like this. Let's say I reserve 3 spaces for each number. So if I reserve 3 spaces and then 1 for a line, 1, 3, 5. So I'm leaving 5 for one, then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 for another, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 for another. So total I have these 15 things. Then what I need to do is, I need to print this symbol and a space, then concatenated by, so we can use the plus sign to join 2 strings. If your one value is an integer and one value is a string, we can't use plus, we put comma in between. But if you have both values as strings, you can join them with plus. Okay, so I can write board 0 plus, I want to give a space and put this line again and leave a space after that as well. So I want to print board 1 over here. Then similar way, I want to leave this, and I want board 2 over here and close it like this. Okay, so this is my one statement, and then what I have to do is, I need this 3 times, I need this again and again. Okay, let's try executing this much to see how our board looks like. So if I go to run and I run my tic-tac-toe, this is how my board is looking. I need to change these numbers to 4, 5, 6. I have 2 extra dashes, so I'll remove that. And same way from here. And this should be 3, 4, 5, then we have 6, 7, and 8. Yeah. So if I run this now, you see the board? That's right. Now what we want. So we have got the board. Now we want that we should ask for the player's turn. And turn by turn we should keep working. So we have to keep working. So I have to ask for the turn. So let's say I take position is equal to int input player one's turn enter the position to put across. Let's say we are saying that player 1 is going to put across. So player 1's turn, enter the position to put across, and that position you're going to get in POS. Now I have to make sure that at that position I should not have a cross or 0 already. So I'm going to check if board position is already equal to a cross, or the board position is already equal to a 0, that is an oval, so we can't place at that position. So I can say if selected invalid position already occupied, or whatever message you want to show. But if it's not like that, if it is not like that, so I'm going to change that. So I'm going to write like board position -1. Yes, we have to take position -1. So rather than writing it again and again, I can just do over here that whatever position user enters, we have to take 1 less than that. So board position should be changed to cross. So I put a cross over there. Similar way I have to do for the second player. So if it is the second player, so we should ask like enter player 2's turn, enter the position to put a oval. Okay, and again if it is already cross or 0, so we should show a message, otherwise we should put a O.
So the first player only has to choose an X. We have to give an option that either player can either.
We can give an option. So you can ask like player 1 ready, what do you choose? So whatever user selects, accordingly we can fix which to use for player 1 and which to use for player 2. Now if you execute this, so it comes like this, it's player 1's turn, enter the position, but even if I enter the position, we won't be able to see because we are not showing the board again. So we need to show the board again so that we can see the changes. So to show the board, right now if I'm going to put the code, it is not a good programming technique to repeat the same code in your program, but right now we haven't done functions. So I'll show you how to use functions, and you'll understand the use of functions very well once you see that if we don't have functions, then what happens. Right now if we don't have user defined functions, if I want to show the board again, this is the whole code for showing the board. So if I want that the board has to be shown after player 1's turn, so I have to paste the whole code here, right? Then after player 2's turn, if I want the board to be shown, so I have to paste the whole code here. This is what we do when we don't have a concept called user defined functions. Now what is a user defined function is that you can group the code and give it a name, so that you don't have to write it again and again. You put it in a function and then you call it. I'll show you how, but let's execute this first. So if I'm going to run this first, and just let me increase the size of the output window. Yeah, we are having this. If I press 4, so you can see it's showing the board again with a cross at 4. If I press 9 here, I get an oval at 9, and it stops because we are not doing anything after that. So one thing before we go ahead, like we are writing this again and again, and I don't want this to happen. So there is a thing, there's a keyword named def in Python. We write def, okay, and I name the name it as display board, and I'm receiving a board over here. So def means define, display board is name of the function, that is up to you, you can give any name to this, and this is the value on which it is going to work. So it's going to work on board, and I paste these statements after the tab that shows that these statements are within the function. Now what I have to do, at the place where I'm writing all this would change to just this line. Yeah, same way over here, I'm writing so much, I'll just remove it and just write one line instead, that is display board. Similar way over here. So that is the major advantage of having functions, that you write it once and you can call it as many times where you want to execute it. So the output would still be same, but we just wrote it once and we can use it any number of times. Okay, so that's a simple concept. Just group the statement, give it a name, and then use it in your code. So till now we are done with this, that we are getting player 1's turn, player 2's turn, okay, we are getting the board and everything. Now checking this, that if a person has won, it's still simple. How you have to check for 8 different conditions? Because if horizontally you get 3, vertically you get 3, or diagonally you get 3, same. That means the player wins, right? But now the challenge over here is to keep asking the players for their turn. So right now it's player 1's turn, then it's player 2's turn. Then I have to again do for player 1, again for player 2, again for player 1, again for player 2. So we have to keep going for this. Now how to keep going for this? For that, I can use a logic of even odd numbers. Say when it is the first chance, okay, that is odd. Let's say that's player 1's turn. When it's second chance, that is even. So it's player 2's turn. When it is third chance, it is odd. So I want player 1 to work. Same way, if it is even, that is 4, player 2 to work. So we can keep a variable over here. That variable would be initially 1. So when we display the initial board, after that, I'm going to have turn is equal to 1. You can use even or you can just use if thing also. So let's say I have turn is equal to 1, and I can also have a count. So count is initially say 0. And now what I do is position int input. Instead of writing player 1's turn, I am going to put the value of turn over here like this. Okay, and enter the position to put a cross or a 0. For that, I take a variable and I put, let's say, a cross on this. And here also, I concatenate it with value because this is a string, so we can concatenate. So I put this. Now, this message will be displayed as player 1's turn, enter the position of cross. Then position is done, position -1, and we put whether it's invalid, and instead of putting a cross, I'll be putting the value, whatever the value is. So it will put the value, it will display the board. I don't need this code to be repeated. If you see, this is also the same code I'm putting. So I don't need this code. I should write it only once. So this code is done once, and then I'm going to check if turn is equal to 1, make it 2. Else, that means obviously it was 2, so make it 1. So it will switch between 1 and 2. And 1 turn has increased, so your count should increase by 1. So count plus equal to 1 means count is equal to count plus 1. So that is just a short form of that. So it increases that, and as you change the turn, you're supposed to change the value also. If it's player 2's turn, then value should be oval. If it's player 1's turn, the value should be a cross. So I should change it because that is only going to tell me what value I'm going to use, right? And count plus equal to 1. Now we are left with just one thing, that this whole procedure has to be repeated because this will work just for once. We need it to repeat. We want it to keep working. And for that, we can't go ahead without loop. Okay. So loop, the purpose of loop is to repeat. That you have a code and you want to repeat it again and again. So if I want the code to be repeated again and again, so what I need to do is, this is count is equal to 0. I just need to put over here while count is less than 9. So while count is less than 9, I have to keep doing this. These statements are also done once. So this should be outside. And since these are to be considered inside the loop, we'll just move them ahead. So This is it. The same code, but we've just put a condition that it should work while count is less than or equal to 9. Now I run this again, and we've got input expected at most 1 argument. Okay. Now in input, you can't join like this because this is not print. In print, we can join with the help of commas, but not over here. So here you can only concatenate, but the problem will come because turn is an integer. So integer can't be concatenated. So that's why I put str turn. So str converts this integer to a string. So it's converted to a string and it can be concatenated. So now here you have the thing. It's player 1's turn, enter the position. Say I enter 6. So we have a cross at 6. Now, okay, you tell your player 2. Where do you want to put?
5.
Okay. I want to put at 9. Okay. I'll put at 7. Quite obvious. Okay. Then where should I put? Anywhere I put, we're not going to win. Anyhow, let me put it at 2 so that you should not win. Yep. Yeah, so wherever you put and I'll put, it will be a draw. We haven't checked the condition for winning and drawing yet. So we'll keep going. And after 9 steps, the process finished, right? So the same code is being executed again and again for 9 times. Because we had count initially as 0, and we did that, we have to repeat till count is less than 9, and your count is incremented every time by 1. So once we go to the turn. So that's how your basic game is done. So this much I have coded. The rest is up to you. What is left?
To check whether the condition for winning are met or not, that they were in.
Exactly. So you need to check whether the condition is met for win or loss or a draw. So this is like every time we do it, I give you a hint, like rather than putting whole stuff over here, you can make a function and check, like check winner, where we should check whether there is any winner or not, right? So after the count is incremented, and I can call check winner. I'll make a function check winner where I'm going to pass the board and I'm going to pass the count, because there we have to see if the count has become 9 and nobody has won. That means it's a draw and we should stop the program. We should exit the program, right? So we should write board count here. Check winner board comma count, and check winner has to be defined. So over here you can write the code. So we write check winner, we have the board with us and we have the count with us. So you write down the statements here now, which will help us to check who is the winner. So what should you check?
The positions like 1, 4 and 6.
Exactly. How do you check
1,
it?
4 and 7 are X or 0. So if position 1, for example,
So
position 1, 4 and 7 are cross, then player 1 wins.
very good.
If position 1, 4 and 7 are 0, player 2 wins.
Yeah, so we can use nested if else over here. In total, you have to give 8 different conditions. You just have to write one and then you can just copy paste to change the positions, right? But we can check like if board 0 is equal to board 0 and 3 and is equal to board 6. So if board 0 is equal to board 2 is equal to board 6, then inside that we're going to put another if, that if board 0 is equal to a cross, then print player 1 wins, else player 2 wins. Then we'll just copy this whole set of statements and put it another 7 times and we'll just change the positions in there. So try it out. How would you write it? It should be if square brackets we write with the board. So if square bracket, this is going, yeah, 0 is double equal to, no, outside the square bracket, double equal to board 3, no, board 3, not 3. So you have to take the position from the board. So board 3, square bracket 3, then again double equal to square bracket 6, then colon, and inside this you can check if board 0, square bracket, is double equal to across, in quotes here, colon, then you can print player 1 wins, else player 2 wins. We can also make it like this, that at the start you can ask the players' names also. Enter player 1's name, enter player 2's name, and then we can use the names at the end to tell who wins. Or at the time of turn we can print that, okay, it is your turn. Now this is your one thing, and you're going to copy this whole command C. Yeah, and this would be now 1,
4 and 7.
yeah, that is your second column. So in the first condition we have checked for the first column, here we are checking for the second column. Already copied, just keep pasting. It's already copied, just keep pasting it. And one more thing, over here where you have checked if board 0 is equal to x, that number also we need to change. 5, 8. So here the first, it should be 1, and here it should be 2. So we have checked for all columns. Now is the turn to check for all rows.
Here,
Yeah. It should be 0, 1, 2 for the first row.
here we are saying if this is equal to this, then player 1 else. But we are not saying that player 2 has 0, 0, 0 in the column.
But these values are same. So the same values could come only if you have a cross or 0. Because otherwise we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 listed there, which are not same. So this condition would be false if they have 1, 2, 3 listed there. So if all values are same, then only we are checking if it's a cross or 0. And this 2 should be changed to 0. You can try running this much if you want first.
Let's complete it.
Okay.
Then you have to update from that one.
Yeah, you have to do for the other 2 rows also. This is first row. Then we have to do for the second row, which should be 3, 4, 5. Three. First row. then you have to check for the last row.
Six, seven.
Yeah.
Proper diagonal.
Diagonal would be your 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 0, 4, and 8. That would be your main diagonal. And the other diagonal would be 2, 4, and 6. And we should yeah, and if we want that in case the count is 9, it should print it's a draw if none of the conditions match. So we can do one more thing here, that rather than putting all these as if, this one I can take it as elif. Like if we have found the first one true, we should not check this one, because why the system should unnecessarily check the 8 conditions. So we can have elifs over here, and at the end I can check if all these conditions are false but still the count is 9. That means the count is 9 and none of them could win. So in that case we should print that it is a draw. So we can write like elif count is equal to 9. So it's a draw. Okay, so we're ready to play now. Let's see who wins.
I just want to tell you we have given all the 7 conditions.
8.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8.
No, we've missed one.
Okay, yeah.
So which one is missed? The first one is for the first column, this is for the second column, this is for the third column, this is for first row, second row. Yeah, we missed the third row. So the third row would be 6, 7, 8. 6, 7, and 8. Yeah, so let's go ahead. Okay, you want to be player 1?
Have to enter here as a 4.
Yeah. Okay. Your turn. Yeah.
Just think.
You are so strategic. I have no other option.
It's going to be if I make a mistake.
Oh yeah, I'll let you win because we need to see whether it is checking for the win condition or not. So I put it on 2, so you can put on 1 and it should show that player 1 wins. Right, but it has a problem. If player 1 wins, it should not ask for a turn for player 2. So we need to fix that. So it should not ask for further turns, right? That is one thing which we have to fix. other than that, it's showing the player 1 win properly, and in case we didn't get any results, it would show at the end that it's a draw. But at the end also, it is showing player 1 wins because it's player 1 wins. Yeah, that is all good. So it is checking for the winning, and the only thing is that once it wins, it should stop. It should stop. Now, to stop that, you have many options. One is you can terminate the program. Second is you can return a boolean value from the function. So I don't want to get into the return values thing right now for you. So we can write a statement which will simply stop the execution of your Python program. So if you write exit, there is a function called exit. Like if you win, then there is nothing to be done after that. So we can call exit. That's it. So this exit means stop the execution of the program right then and there. So if any of the player wins, we should stop the execution, be it player 1, be it player 2. So whichever player wins, we should stop the execution. You have to put in it all. I'm just showing, like, if I run this now and let's say player 1 says 2, player 2 says 4, says 1, and I say 5, and then he says 3. So that is horizontal. So player 1 wins. Okay, I put the condition for the column, not for the row. And re-execute it.
I think we look in all the runs.
Yeah, we should.
That we have a complete game built.
Exactly. So just let me check it first. So if it's 2, then it's 4, then let it be 9, and if I put 7, so it says player 1 wins and it stops. So we have to put that exit thing in all of them so that your code is complete with the very basic programming constructs. So we use a function just to reduce the code so that we don't write this code again and again, right? And we used a very simple while loop because the turns had to be repeated. So we haven't gone into like in-depth of looping, we just did one loop to make sure that we ask for 9 times. So this is your basic tic-tac-toe game without any difficult programming constructs. Simple basic constructs, and you can still make a good end-to-end game. So how did you like it?
That was very interesting because if you have to see, it's like artificial intelligence going on in the background, that we are checking that what is the next step, and
yeah, exactly. Later we can change it to this way also, that we can put the artificial intelligence thing that one side would be computer and one side would be the player. So player would play and the next turn would be taken by computer, and we make sure that we give our conditions in the best possible way so that the computer should win. So we'll be doing that, but at a later stage. So I hope this particular thing is clear to all of you who all are watching, and it's clear to Deepak. So this is how we use if-else. If you have any such game in your mind which you can think we can make by checking conditions, you can definitely write in the comments below and we will code it for you live on the channel. Okay? And till tomorrow, Deepak, you can also think of some other interesting game. If we get some other interesting game which can be done with conditions, we'll be doing that tomorrow. Otherwise, we'll be starting with the next topic, that is loops in Python. Okay? So we'll be starting with loops formally tomorrow, same time, 5:30. And in case we get some other good game, we would be discussing that as well. So that is it for today. And for getting these programs, I will soon share you the link of GitHub so that from there you can get the code which we do in the live sessions. So that's it for today's session. I'll see you again tomorrow at 5:30 with the next topic. Hope you enjoyed the session.